two, one. We're live with GuardianCast episode 18. What's up, guys?
Woo!
We have a special guest, Dudley, who I'm not going to wait 17 minutes to introduce. What's going on?
Hey, what's going on? Thank you so much for having me. I'm a huge fan of the show, I gotta say. I have a long commute to work and I listen to it every Friday.
Fantastic. So who are you? What do you do? What do you stream?
Who are you?
I would say these days I'm a Destiny 2 streamer, mostly PvP, but I'm down to do some PvE as well. Mainly run trials like every weekend. Like if I wasn't like on the podcast right now, I'd probably be playing that.
Yeah. You do some raid sherping, some Leviathan speed runs.
I tried that last night. We're gauntlet for about like 3 hours.
Gotcha. So you're a Twitch partner, right?
Yes, I suckered Twitch into giving me the check mark because I used to speedrun a random game a long time ago.
Random game. We don't talk about that, guys.
What's the game?
Yeah, that's in the past.
It's I'm just like now you piqued my interest.
It's Resident Evil 3 for the PlayStation 1. But enough about me. That's cool. Enough.
Baby.
I'm a Destiny player, just like you guys. Come on.
Right. Yeah.
You can't escape your past, man.
Yeah. So Dudley and I had been working on some testing of resilience. I managed to get my hands on a more updated spreadsheet this week, which I'll link in the description of this video, and I can throw it in chat right now as far as but it is pretty convoluted, it seems like. We were working with a little bit of confirmation bias the first time we did our tests, and we thought Mida was supposed to be a 4-shot headshot, but that was only in Destiny 1, apparently, and it's not part of the precision frame now, which is the 4-shot headshot, so...
So talking about what we talked about last week.
Right,
where
yeah.
We have the idea that we have a shorter time to kill or not anything having to do with the time to kill.
Right. Yeah. So what I would say, though, is after studying this spreadsheet, if you're playing on PC, I still don't think it's worth it to run any resilience because all of the weapons that matter, it doesn't make any difference. So, like, the hand cannons, which are incredibly in meta on PC, there's no difference at all in the 150s, and if you use a 140, it doesn't make any difference until 9 resilience, and where it goes from 1 crit and 3 bodies to 2 crits, 2 bodies. Nobody uses scouts really right now, and then as far as auto rifles and SMGs, it really comes down to like 1 headshot difference versus a body shot, which I think mobility is a better choice than that at that point.
But see, the thing is I don't think mobility is a choice, really. Like what you're basically telling me is the stats don't matter. No matter what you do, the stats
recovery
don't matter
definitely matters.
Well, recovery does to a degree, but like how much?
Well,
like
if you're
9?
using the Wormhusk crown a lot, because it causes the regeneration to happen, like Dudley and I, when we were doing private matches, if he does a dodge roll in front of me at 8 recovery, like his health will go up so fast I can't even fire another hand cannon shot to interrupt him before it's back to max.
Recovery is basically the PvP stat then.
A little bit, but like, so the useful thing about mobility versus this resilience is that the strafe speed, I think you have a better chance of getting somebody to miss their shot than you do counting on them landing a body shot versus a headshot with like an automatic weapon. That's just my opinion.
Because I know as far as PvE is concerned, like recovery is really the only stat that matters. Mobility doesn't really make a difference.
Right.
Resilience.
Because they use an algorithm, it's not going to matter like how fast you're strafing,
I mean, we're talking about nightfall drop rates, guys. This is what we're talking about. When you do a, it's the same thing where it's like a percentage of increase. So it's like if you do a hard nightfall versus an easy nightfall, there's a 1% difference between like it's on a scale. So if you're like, I want to do a 40x multiplier, a 74, we actually did like a 50 minus multiplier, and I guess our drop rate increased like 1.5%. It wasn't worth it because we did
But what's,
twice or 3 times the amount of time.
What's 1.5% of 0?
Well, so I guess it's supposed to be a 1%. Like it's supposed to be a 1%. We're looking for the catalyst, but it's supposed to be a 1% like flat rate, and then like the amount of increase of difficulty that you have will give you a percentage of that plus like at least that's what it looks like on my end, because I guarantee you it's not a 5% drop rate or 4% drop rate or even 10% drop rate.
But so the one thing I did want to say though is, as far as weapons, if you want it to take an extra shot for resilience,
right? Yeah,
an extra shot instead of it just being like one extra crit versus body shot, an actual extra bullet. The only place where that actually happens is the 900 RPM SMGs. It takes one extra bullet. That's it.
Dude, that's huge.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Holy fuck.
Yeah. Yeah. You gotta run 10 resilience, guys. You gotta run 10 resilience so you can take that extra 900 RPM.
Wow.
That's not really.
I'm shocked.
That's a three resilience, right?
No. Well, with body shots and stuff like that.
Oh, body.
Yeah.
That's like 8 resilience. That's like.
Yeah. Well,
resilience is actually so like.
It says.
What's it called?
Yeah.
Useless in PvE. Now I'm thinking about it.
Yeah, that's true too. It probably won't make any difference there either. But that would.
We're gonna have like
be a whole new can of worms
around pretty soon. They're adding luck as a stat in year 2, so the EXO can spec into luck and get higher drop rates. That's gonna be sick.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if that's a joke or not.
No, it's confirmed. My sister works at Bungie. She cleans the toilets.
Your sister.
She's not very talented, but she told me.
She overheard in the boardroom. She read it on a whiteboard somewhere.
Yeah. They're adding luck.
She cleans the toilets, so she knows about all the bullshit going on over there.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
She told me some. Apparently, Holtzman has the stinkiest boots. Yeah. Confirmed.
GuardianCast exclusive, guys.
GuardianCast exclusive.
But more on that, though, when I switch from like my hunter to like my warlock, particularly, because I guess Titans don't really count since it could skate around everywhere. I do feel super sluggish because my hunters are like 10 mobility, whereas my warlock is only like 4, and I do feel like it hinders me.
Yeah. It's harder to peek a lane. Like, it's harder to like disengage from a lane when you don't have your dodge roll active, and if you're playing like a low mobility hunter, there's almost like no point in playing the class unless like you're taking advantage of, like, that peeking ability.
Yeah.
And especially since people aren't running stompies anymore because the worm husk is so good. Like, having that extra mobility on hunter like really feels clutch.
Or having what I'm doing it, because now I'm running 1 resilience, is running 2 dodge mods and 2 grenade mods, which is huge too. That's 13 seconds and then 14 seconds less, so like 27 seconds total for the grenade. I don't know what it is for the class ability, but
for hunter it's like 4 seconds each mod you put on.
Yeah.
Just think back to a thing where Luke Smith answered Destiny 2 questions, and he said something like, if you wanted to build a certain way, you could, and you could definitely do, you could definitely play it the way that you wanted to play. You could build a certain way, and then if you didn't want to play that way, you could build another way. And it's like,
that's marketing speak.
The promise of.
That's like in Destiny 1 when they promote it and they like looked off into the distance at a skybox and they're like, if you can see it in the world, you can explore it. You're like, okay.
Yeah, baby.
Let me go check that out.
Is that quote is like you could change like builds on the fly? Is that what he's like getting at?
I'm actually scrubbing through the video right now to actually find it, to find him answering the question.
I would totally be into like having like
Because GuardianCast exclusive, we have computers.
Yeah.
Like that's just a, like
True.
in the future request, but if you could let me change my like armor and loadout with a hotkey, like that'd be great.
Yeah.
That would be great.
Yeah,
Thank
set
you.
loadouts.
Please.
Not like mid game though. That'd
Hey,
be broken.
speaking of Luke Smith.
Oh yeah. Not like mid gunfight. That would be dumb. Like if you're dead or in
Yeah,
orbit.
macros on PC where you just like auto rifle, hand cannon, auto rifle, hand cannon.
Yeah.
Okay.
Suddenly you have a crimson out,
Yeah.
and then you get your health back.
Yeah.
Yes. Can you imagine like you're running around with stompies as soon as the gunfight starts, you have a worm husk crown on?
Oh god.
Like, oh how dumb.
So, but speaking of Luke Smith, he actually tweeted something about Destiny for like the first time yesterday in months. He's been completely off the radar. It seems like we haven't heard from him since probably like November or something like that. Destiny 2's PR started like spiraling out of control, and he was like, I'm out of here, you know, like Christopher Barrett, it's all you, you know.
Yeah.
And it has had me worried that him and Newsworthy have been secretly working on Destiny 3, and
No.
we're just doomed to repeat all of these same problems over again, you know.
He literally said, if you want to go fast, you can go fast.
Yeah.
He said, I'm not going to spoil it for you, but if you wanted to go fast, you can go fast.
I don't know what that means, though, in
Well, I
context.
mean, I guess we found out what it means, but it's
Yeah.
still unclear.
Yeah.
He said any word on recovery or armor or agility or what did you do to it? And he's like, well, you know, if there's a, like, I'm not going to spoil the build for you, but if you want to go fast, you can go fast.
Yeah. Not by
Is this
sprinting,
talking
though.
about future changes?
Not by sprinting.
Yeah.
No, this is pre-release.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Spoiler alert, it didn't do anything back then. And now it does marginally more, but still doesn't affect sprint speed, so
Which is fine.
it's not fine. And it'll never
It's
be fine,
fine.
and I'm sad about
It's
it.
fine.
It's not.
There,
But
there
anyway,
are other ways
about
to
it.
get your sprint speed.
on to more pressing issues, things to be angry about this week.
Wait. There has to be some positives first. Let's talk about
Okay.
those faction rally skins.
Oh my god.
It's silent.
I'm just waiting. I'm just waiting, dude, for there to
So-
be a faction rally bundle, 1100 silver.
I can't wait. I cannot wait for that. Actually.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I
No, I
can't
mean-
wait to watch the Dead Orbit.
Oh,
So-
we are
So if
we
you
are
wanna
all
talk
over
about
the
faction
place
rally
right now.
skins, We can, and then I'll get into
yeah,
my
let's
thing about.
talk about some great stuff before we start bitching to get our panties
Well,
all
okay,
over
so like
mods.
everything else is really outside of like what Recked wants to talk about.
Mhm.
What I want to talk about it's not necessarily great. So we can hold off till whenever you want, but it's
Let's
still gonna
hold off
happen.
just a little bit and talk about this faction rally.
All right. Well, if you
Okay.
want to talk about faction rallies, the first thing I'd like to mention is they didn't happen this week, like we thought they were going to.
I
So-
knew they weren't.
Oh.
Well, all right. So on the roadmap, it said, "Hey guys, faction rally improvements going live this week," and I was like, "Okay, awesome." And then it was like, "Oh well, we put the improvements in the update, but the faction rallies aren't actually here though. Like we never said they were coming. You know, it's just in the
Yeah,
patch."
Let's not.
They improved it. They improved it.
Yeah, that was a little unclear. Just saying. I think.
Yeah, I mean, you know, yeah.
I think you probably
The
should have been able to
improvements
see
are
that
in the
coming.
game right now, so we actually can see what the faction rallies like, what they can give us. Like
If
the
you data
Graviton
mine.
Lance thing is in there now to tell us what it is.
Heck
Like it's
yeah.
all there. We
You
just
you
had
could
to-
look at that when Warmind launched. People have known that stuff.
Yeah, but we could only see that in dim because of the because they use a different the weapon like profile that they use is actually embedded into the game. So,
Mm.
Like you
Yeah.
can like look at the weapon and see the catalyst and how to get it.
but
Yeah.
but the one that they use in the game apparently we couldn't see because we were
No,
I don't know.
It's not directly tied to the API.
Hmm.
It's just like the clone. But like, hey, we were talking about that forever. We were talking. Remember when you said on this podcast, you were Recked. You were like, man, I wish that picking a faction meant something. Like, what if you could only pledge one faction per account per rally? First thing on the lips, bam.
So what you're saying is they should give me credit for this idea.
What I'm saying is there's like a lot of great shit going on, and now we got exotic skins for the factions that look so weird.
Yeah.
Yep. So we have players can only pledge to one faction per account.
Hey.
This is where it gets a little wordy, where Bungie isn't specifically mentioning anything. There's a reputation progress retained through multiple events, and it will be reset and it will not be reset throughout the season, even if a player changes allegiance. That changes allegiance thing led people to believe that you could change allegiance during the week. That's probably not going to happen.
No, it's not going to happen.
Have to be like 1 week.
Right.
They said that they're going to do 3 faction rallies over the course of season 3, which means that's once every 6 weeks now instead of once a month.
Yeah, so don't miss the rally because you ain't getting your shit.
Yeah.
If you do. But this is a net gain. I'm sad because on PC I need both New Monarchy armor and Dead Orbit shaders, and there's no way I'm going to be able to do that.
You're going to be able to do
not
the Dead
this
Orbit
week. You'll get it this
week.
season though.
Yeah, this season, yeah.
Well, if you pledge to Dead Orbit, Dead Orbit's gonna win this one. I feel because so many people will be circling the catalysts and not so much the armor or even the thing. But I guess there's
But what about the Sunshot?
I'm looking at this now. It's insane.
I actually am a little torn. I'm gonna be honest with you. Like, I want to see what this Sunshot's gonna perform like, because have you seen
stability?
Well, not just stability, 30 range, and 20 stability.
Yeah, it actually is. It actually makes it a better gun than Graviton Lance. Like, it's a much better catalyst.
Well, it is a better catalyst, but there's still a huge drawback of the Sunshot, which is that there's only 8 shots in the mag.
Yeah, that's
also
that's
another
the
huge
biggest
drawback.
issue.
You have to pledge to Future War Cult.
To me, the biggest issue, the recoil is more like a pendulum, and it's like, which way is it gonna go? Left, right, up, down? It's gonna hit me in the fucking face because the Sunshot doesn't have a recoil pattern.
You think that the stability will help that at all, or no?
I don't know, dude.
Yeah,
we'll have to find out.
It
feels like crap to shoot.
Yeah,
it really does.
Yep.
It sounds nice.
It sounds beautiful.
Has anyone taken a look at the other new weapons that are coming along with the faction rally?
No, that's one thing that I actually haven't seen.
They're
I
pretty.
see them, but I haven't actually.
Are they in the database? Like, I've seen the thumbnails. That's it.
Yeah, I've seen at least seen the 600 Raidfire SMG.
Look at this Dead Orbit hand cannon. And a sniper.
Hand cannon. Oh, it's a 110.
Renown.
Oh, why is it a 110?
Why?
Dude, what is it with their obsession with 180s and 110s? Nobody uses those, Bungie.
Here's the Dead Orbit.
Wait, 180 scouts?
Yeah, they are in the database now.
No, hand cannons.
Oh, 180 hand cannons. Ugh.
This is a 110, which is still just as bad.
This shotgun's pretty interesting. If Dead Orbit wins, which they most likely will, it's called the Basilisk. It has auto-loading holster, and it's a rapid-fire frame shotgun.
I just can't wait for people to renown
Is that
themselves
new?
in the tower.
Yeah, that's
Right?
Basilisk.
For the renown to be in the tower, and you see the Dead Orbit thing everywhere.
I
You're like, what
I
the heck? I'm
don't
gonna
see
a
in
Dead Orbit.
their Dead Orbit picture. I don't see any thumbnail of a shotgun.
It's in the database, and then I posted something in the
right
Discord
It's
chat.
It's fob.
And then I'm just looking at Planet Destiny's database.
Huh. But I wonder if they're gonna wait to for another faction rally. Cause you know how they roll out 3 weapons at a time. It seems like.
Yeah. Apparently, this is the one you get if Dead Orbit wins.
Yeah.
Oh,
Dead Orbit has the shotgun.
Oh, I see. So it's not in the
It's a rocket
engrams.
launcher.
Gotcha.
Future War Cult has a little 3-burst SMG. I mean, 3-burst sidearm. Basically an SMG. I hate
Is
those
that
things.
3 burst? Because there's no It looks smaller. The frame of it looks smaller than like a Last Hope.
That model is the same model as the 3-burst sidearm that goes in the what's it called? It's a 3-burst sidearm.
Because Omelon only makes
adapters.
3 bursts.
Can't remember the name of it.
I guess Omelon only makes 3 bursts and Suros only makes the single fire ones, or something like that.
Let's see, what's the name of this? Oh wow! When you type in
3 burst.
when you type in 3-burst sidearm into Google, you get like, holy shit!
Lot of porn.
We have a gun problem in this country. Oh my god! You can just buy these.
I'm pretty sure you've been flagged now for typing that in.
What in the world?
You might want to type in 3-burst sidearm Destiny 2.
Oh my god! I have $300.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Welcome
Okay,
to
alright,
the
so-
Gun Control Podcast.
Destiny 2 sidearms.
3-burst sidearm Destiny 2. Nice.
Rat King.
Oh, what's it called? Where is it at?
Last of the Legion.
Oh, the Atana.
Oh yeah, I remember that one.
I had an old carry partner that used to use one of those, and we were like, "Why don't you use the Last Hope? It's better." And he's like, "I'm a hipster."
Gotcha. So, are you guys all gonna pledge to Future War, or I mean Dead Orbit?
I certainly think that Dead Orbit's going to win.
Yeah, but you personally is what I'm asking.
Yes. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
No, dude, New Monarchy all the way.
Ew.
Did you see that new?
Business.
See that new Hunter?
Okay,
business?
so here's
Look at that cape. Look at the Hunter cape. Look at the
there
Hunter
is
cape right
actually
now.
a reason
Alright,
why
I need a
New
picture.
Monarchy
Where?
could win again, and it's all because of the shaders. Because it won't be because of Sweet Business. I'll tell you that much.
Well, did you see what Sweet Business does? It just reduces flinch when it's fully spun up. I mean,
Yeah, it's pretty terrible.
That's great.
But the Graviton Lance isn't a great catalyst though. That's why I think Future War Cult might actually have a shot.
Dude, look at the
I
New
beg to
Monarchy
differ
Hunter
there.
cape. Look at the Hunter cape.
I think the range on the Graviton Catalyst is pretty huge. I don't know how
As
much.
far as the gear is concerned, I mean, New Monarchy and the shaders are always going to be better than the other two. I think. You know, the gear looks great.
Oh yeah.
The shaders look great.
Don't you like
That's
looking
the
like
reason
a?
New Monarchy might win.
Don't you want to be a Hot Topic employee from Dead Orbit or?
I gotta say, I'm Dead Orbit till the day I die. So, I love those shaders.
I'm so mad at you. And sad.
I honestly don't see any other faction winning this rally when the Graviton Lance is so good.
I
as
don't
it is.
either.
I agree.
I don't either.
I think
Yeah.
if anyone picks like any other faction, they'll be kicking themselves later when they hit up Crucible and they're getting killed by the Graviton Lance.
Yeah.
Got
So-
the little sunshot just dying.
So
I agree.
the catalysts are going to take rank 50 to get, which means you have to
Oh.
have 1,000 token turn-ins to get the catalyst
Nice.
What did you say to me?
for each of so like Dead Orbit, you're gonna have to hit rank 50 in order to buy that catalyst.
Are you
I guess
sure?
it's gonna be like 100 glimmer.
You know what's funny though? I bet you that people still have tokens from last season.
I thought
maybe
they get recycled.
Maybe.
Like,
No,
they
my
take away.
Iron Banner tokens, I had like 500.
I
just
had 1,000
standing around.
Iron Banner tokens. I didn't even have to
Yeah.
play.
Um,
Oh my God.
Soon.
I didn't get anything
and
Iron Banner.
I mean, I don't know about the ornament, but it looks like everything's going to be unlocked through the ranking system, and it's not going to be like anything but the renown, I guess. Supposedly had an impact based on how many of the set you are wearing at the time of doing activities and stuff. So it's going to increase or decrease the amount of tokens required to hit a level.
Hmm.
Oh, that's
So
awesome.
it would be 1,000 tokens, but I guess renown increases the level of challenging gameplay as
Yeah.
well as other perks.
No, that's cool.
Yeah, the renowned system seems pretty cool.
I'm into that. I'm super into that.
All right, so if I have to get like what rank 50 you said to get the catalyst,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've got to play 200 Crucible matches and I got to win them all.
Or
Well,
just
That doesn't
that
sound hard.
honestly, that's like with like this rework, like the renown system seems so cool, and like a lot of the stuff they did seems pretty good for this
It get-
event. But
we probably should cover it and explain it so people
yeah,
understand.
yeah.
If they didn't read the
I,
tweet.
I do want to say though, they did almost nothing for PvP with this event. It's not doing anything. There's
It's not.
So that
The
seems
thing,
like a
the thing
miss.
about the set bonuses, I guess, a fact though is the amount of tokens required to turn into a level potentially. I guess that's what I'm hearing.
So
That's what I'm.
go ahead and
seeing.
explain this renown thing for people then.
So, renown is basically something like from what I got from it, it increases the level of difficulty of what you do, right?
Yep. So it says after pledging to a faction, players can earn renown by completing public events or patrols, or by defeating high-value targets on the planets. And then when you loot a lost sector with the renown active, you'll get more faction tokens than usual. The more stacks of renown you have, the more tokens. But the
So
risk
that's how they're gonna
reward is that renown is lost when you die. So basically, as more stacks happen, you become more and more vulnerable, but you'll get like exponentially higher amount of tokens. So the risk reward is like, I want to hold on to this and get more
Wait,
stacks.
1% more tokens?
What?
1.5% more tokens? 1.6% more tokens?
I have no idea. I mean, it doesn't like give a specific amount.
So according to this, substantially, potentially substantially more if you have up to stacking up to 5.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then your health regeneration is vastly reduced. Your enemy kills have a chance to drop health orbs, which is, I guess, attrition, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that what that is. So basically, it's attrition. So I mean, everything's gonna basically kill you in one hit, but everything drops health orbs.
And you'll have to kill everything in the lost sector to loot that, which is going to be interesting, you know.
Oh yeah, yeah. So yep.
Usually,
Well,
you only gotta kill
you
boss,
might not
right?
have to. I mean, if you're
No,
if you're,
not with this, because if you try and run through with your 5 stacks and not kill those ads, you're going to get wrecked.
Yeah.
You
I
know.
mean, I guess we'll see. If you have 3 people, I mean,
There's always going to be a min max on how you do it, but I
Yeah.
think 3 people in a lost sector, like lost sector farming, even if you're doing the same one on Titan.
Well, you
Yeah,
don't
here's-
you can't get it by lost sector farming though, right? You have to get it through patrols, public events, or high value targets. That's how you get your stacks up. Then you go to a lost sector and you have to kill all the stuff inside it to get to the chest and try not to die on your way there. That's
Yeah.
the
Just do
idea.
a bunch of patrols, the public events, or
Yep.
actually, what you do is you have one person in the area doing patrols and the public events, public events and patrols, and he's getting you the renown, and then you have 2 people in the lost sector.
I think you have to participate. You have to, with public events, you're probably going to have to be there. You can't just have them do it.
I mean, we could talk about how to like maximize efficiency using this new cool system all day, but
We'll
like
know
at
next
the
Thursday.
at the end of the day, this like new system of renown has to be better than cheesing.
Yeah.
It's like
It's got to be better than like sitting in a lost sector shooting
Yeah.
explosive things.
Well,
over and
that's
over
just
again.
it, right? Is the reward for doing it properly
yeah.
going to be more than being able to cheese it yourself? Because
Yeah.
if you go in
We'll
with
find
one,
out.
or none renown, no renown, can you get through that lost sector faster than you can with 3 people, or do you get like substantially more tokens? Like if you get 50 or 100 tokens for doing one lost sector at 5, it might be worth it if it takes twice the amount of time.
Well,
But it's not going to be worth it.
well, I mean, I agree. Like you gotta evaluate risk reward, and like Bungie
Yeah, so
is notorious for disappointing. But I mean, if things are gonna become 5 times more lethal, you think it'd be 5 times more tokens would be the idea, right?
yeah, 5 times more tokens at least it has to be, because even if it takes 3 or 4 times the amount of time, it's like people don't want to put that amount of energy or effort into it because it's not going to be worth. Like we're back to the same old argument.
I don't think it's going to be
Bungie
like
not
a
rewarding.
time investment thing. Like I think the problem is going to be, if people are not careful, they have their 5 times stack, they go into the lost sector, they're careless, and then they die and they lose it all. That's where you lose your time.
Yeah, so like then you gotta go, I gotta go back to a lost sector.
I like it
gotta
though.
go-
I actually like that. It makes you fear the environment a little bit.
I like the system. I think it's great. I hope it's rewarding enough to make me want to engage with it.
Right. I haven't played it, so I can't really like
I
say
just
it's
feel
going to
bad
be
for
this
the solo
amazing
player
thing.
who
but-
reads this and who's like, let me make it so that I can get my tokens really quickly, and it's like, well, you're gonna die if you try. So
I don't feel bad at all. The game needs to be difficult. Get good.
yeah,
I'm just waiting for the moment
Whoa.
when we have like full
there
renown
are
stacks or
some
whatever.
things. What's that?
And I was just waiting for the moment where if we have like full renown stacks and you like go into the lost sector, you get like 1 extra token or something.
Yeah, exactly,
100%,
right?
like, that's what I'm talking
gotta-
about. So if
I
that
gotta
happens,
keep low expectations.
Yeah, you
but
know
if
what's
that
going to be
happens, then
great,
it's not
and
gonna be worth it.
Michael just said this like kind of in the same way. Is like you go into the lost sector, you're just like taking your time killing stuff, and then the shield phalanx slams you into the wall.
Yes. Yes.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
So we'll
please.
see. We'll know by next Thursday what's the best and how many tokens it's giving us by then.
My least favorite part of the system is the giant, gaudy, glowing symbols on your back. Like, I don't want that shit. What is that?
Yeah, but then you'll be able to see if people make poor decisions. You'll be like, that guy pledged a new monarchy.
No, but
He's getting a. Does he know what he's getting for that?
Like you can't see it in the tower because renown won't.
You'll
be
see it
active
out in the
tower.
wild, man.
Yeah, but you can see it out in the wild,
but
man.
you're only doing lost sectors, so it doesn't really matter.
You're not only.
Listen,
You're
I
not
don't want
only
people
doing
to
lost
know-
sectors.
But yeah, but I mean, like you are and you aren't. So you're doing the public.
That's just the
events and
turn-in
patrols.
phase, right? At the lost sector, it's just the turn-in phase. You get no credit for really doing lost sector. It's just to turn in your renown, pretty much.
No, if
Why
you're-
can't
if
I
you're
just
a good-
keep my
if you're-
shit private?
If you're a good fire team
Mm-hmm.
and you don't die in lost sectors, you're going to be doing public events and patrols till you get to 5,
Right.
and then you're going to go do lost sectors.
You're gonna
That's all
do
you're gonna
a lost sector. You're gonna go do public events and patrols, get to 5. Then you're gonna go do a lost sector. Then you're gonna go back to public events and patrols.
Why can't you do multiples? You can do multiples.
Yeah, you like
don't
as long
die.
as you don't die.
Yeah.
My
Then you'll
understanding
have
is
to
you'll
do
get
lost
to
sectors.
5, you'll go to the lost sector, loot the chest, and then you'll be back at 0 again.
No,
It
because
doesn't
you
say that
wouldn't.
anywhere.
Yeah, you wouldn't have lost the renown
No, you don't lose it unless you
because
die.
you didn't die. So
But-
you'll just be farming lost sectors.
Oh, that's stupid.
That's what I'm saying. It's like,
That changes everything. That's not how I like expected that to work, because it would seem like you want to loot the stuff and then go back out and go back to farming. Like if you're just gonna sit there in a single lost sector, it's gonna cause the same gameplay loop problem that we had before.
No, this is just making it so that you do public events and patrols before you do lost sectors.
Once, and then you sit in a lost sector and farm it over and over and over again.
And unless it's really hard and you die, and then you have to go.
Yeah, and then you have to go do
stack.
it again.
But it's
Yeah,
not.
I do,
It's only going to go to 5, so the difficulty is only going to be what you dealt with the first time. There's nothing different each time you go through that lost sector. That's why I think it should go back to 0. You have to go back
won't
out.
wanna
and-
go
But we
do it
don't
past
know how
5.
difficult it's gonna be.
It goes past 5, but it does the player damage increase or decrease doesn't go beyond 5. So you actually get more health regeneration reductions and enemy kill
Oh,
has a chance. Like that's all stacks, but then the other one stacks up to 5.
okay.
Yeah, but it's good to see some change though. Like the past faction rallies have pretty much been the exact same thing.
Yeah.
They're just tedious token farming, but now, I could see like people running around. They see a little faction on the people's back. Like I don't want to be with that guy. Let's go ahead over to this guy. Just a bunch of packs for him. I think that's kind of
The way
Overload,
the way
yeah.
you were describing it,
Yeah,
Recked,
yeah.
actually sounds like a pretty good idea.
Right.
Like having them like basically clearing the last sector with 5 is like what you want to do, and then you have to go earn 5 back out in the wild. again.
Right. I think
Yeah,
that
but-
would be ideal.
Rewarding?
What?
That would have to be like super freaking rewarding to be worth it.
Yeah, so that would have to give you like
Yeah.
150, 160 tokens.
But at least-
Oh.
At least, well, that'd be a lot.
It would.
Yeah.
No, but that's like.
But at
the
least
amount-
it
the
would
amount I can
promote
grind-
variety in gameplay, right? Instead of
But the
just
amount
sitting
that
in
I can
one
grind-
cave.
the amount that I can grind in a single session with one player and one lost sector just over and over and over again, I can get 5 tokens every 30 seconds, which that's like I can get 1,000 tokens in less than what is it like what's the time frame? It's like less than like 20, like not even 10-20 minutes. So it has to be mega rewarding.
Exo's over here like 1 million tokens.
How many tokens are in a 1 engram? How many?
In an engram? You mean in a chest?
No,
20
in a level up.
tokens.
How many does it cost to level up once?
20.
20.
So you're saying 5 rank ups for that loop once. That's a little much, I think.
I can probably, I wouldn't say about 20 minutes. I'd say about maybe like 45 minutes is right around the right time for 1,000 tokens. I get 1,000 tokens in 45 minutes just by doing it myself. And it's really boring, but I can do it, you know?
Dude, I don't know about that. That's a lot of tokens.
Yeah. And they nerfed the lost sector cheese where you could just keep coming back in and looting the chest. That was a way you could do that.
No, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the lost sector on Titan. You go basically you just make a circle, you kill the boss, and then you loot in this case you'd loot the lost sector, but then you'd get yourself killed and reset it, and then it would just
But didn't they put a cooldown on it so you could only do like 3 in a row and then you had to go do something else or something?
No, they removed that because that was part of the whole like we want you to farm as many lost sectors as you want. That was the last patch they did. They just removed that cooldown.
I do got 2 points though. They pretty much glorified the lost sector farming.
They
It's
did.
like, that's what you did before, and this is what, I don't know, they kind of amplified it now. That's kind of weird.
Yeah.
I know
And,
it makes it worse because there are other things that you can get points with, and like lost sector is the only thing that they're focusing on.
And now, I guess this has no effect on Crucible or anything like that.
Nope.
Yeah, that's what I was
Give us
saying
win
before
streaks in PvP or
is
something.
Crucible, you're going to get your
Yeah.
standard amount of tokens. They did nothing about PvP.
That you make a good point. That'd be good. Like, the win streak bonus you get like in Valor or whatever.
Yep.
That'd be cool if they like gave you more tokens based on your win streak. That'd actually be really nice.
Or lost streak.
Or here if they
There's
if they,
no
they
lost
take
streak
away
in Valor.
tokens?
No
No,
lost
that-
streak in Valor.
if you got a token bonus for having an entire team of your faction, like if you have a full team of Dead
Ooh,
Orbit,
that would
you
be
get
cool.
like extra tokens. So like at the start of the week, you're talking to your friends, you're like, who you gonna pledge? Who you gonna pledge? There's that one motherfucker that pledges New Monarchy.
You can't play with us.
God.
That would be
We
great.
don't
I
like,
just want
we don't
something.
like red.
I just want some kind of something on the armor that might give you more tokens, or might give you a buff, or something that you might see as like rewarding. That, you know what I mean? Just like,
Yeah.
like I
Well,
want a
don't worry,
reason to wear
Exo.
the
I'm
armor.
sure that Tess Everest will sell a ghost that gives you a bonus for a certain amount of silver.
She already does.
you know?
I have it on Xbox. It's so good. There's one that gives you like extra faction tokens from
Oh.
everything.
Yeah, I have that one, and I
It's
also
so
have.
good.
I also have the one for public events and loot, and then as the optional role, it has additional faction tokens on Hellas Basin. So if I'm ever in Escalation Protocol, that's the one I use.
So just to be clear, this is going live next week since we never actually said
Well,
that.
it's actually live now.
Oh, they're live in game. You just can't play them.
Yeah.
Oh.
So, June 5th. This will go live with the weekly reset. And everyone's going to go Dead Orbit and get this Graviton. Don't miss out
Or
on it.
New Monarchy, get the new cape.
No one is going New
Sweet
Monarchy.
business catalyst.
Yeah, baby.
There's going to be one person in the entire game that goes New Monarchy, and then someone's going to message them and be like, that you picked the wrong thing, right? And they're going to be like, oh, I didn't know anything changed about this event. My bad. So, you guys
I
have...
feel like that's most of the community.
But
because
in
this
the
is-
end,
in the end,
go
In
ahead.
the end.
I was gonna say in the end they're adding new stuff, new content. So
Mhm.
I'm happy
Yeah.
overall.
Same.
Yeah.
Ditto. Jinx, you owe me a Coke.
So, you guys have anything else about faction rallies? I think we can probably move on from that.
No, it's great. So now you can go on to bitching.
Recked wants to talk about Crucible Labs.
Yeah, I do want
Yeah.
to talk about Crucible Labs.
The new
So-
content I'm actually not happy with.
Yes. So number one, I have to take back all of the praise that I gave Bungie last week, saying that we were getting a PTR. I titled a stream that we were getting a PTR. I was very happy about it. We're not getting a PTR. It's not even close to a PTR. I don't even see the point of it at all. Basically, Crucible Labs is just a way to test a game mode only. Derek Carroll said on Twitter, as a rule, Crucible Labs will not touch sandbox balance. And then you can read a whole thread from Josh Hamrick where he basically says we didn't have the time or the tech to be able to implement sandbox changes within the game. It would require a separate client, blah, blah, blah. So then where's the separate client? Just like, this is pointless. The problem with Destiny PvP has never been like, oh, there's something messed up about the game modes. Like, there is small problems with the game modes, but the sandbox is the majority of the thing people want tweaked. And if we can't test the things coming up, then we can't prevent any problems from happening. And with how infrequently that Bungie does sandbox updates, if they mess anything up, we're stuck with it for 6 months. So we need this PTR. Like, I'm sorry, but you don't think it's important. You got to find a way to make it work, especially if we're going to be getting 6-month sandbox updates, which I'd really like to see at least quarterly. So that's my piece on it. The Showdown game type itself, I think, sucks. I don't know. Did you play it, Huffy?
I didn't play Showdown, no.
So
I just played IB.
It is
like
the
doubles,
exact
yeah.
same as doubles, except with 4 people, and it feels
I hated that, so.
yeah. It
Oh,
feels
group
really
rounds.
bad. It feels really, really
it's
bad.
Fine. It's fine if the rounds were the shortness of but they're 3 minutes long each round.
It just feels like
4 rounds. It takes forever.
it's a really
get through a round.
stupid version of survival. Instead of like running out of lives, you're just endlessly going up, and it's like such inflated scores each round that sometimes if it's an imbalance of the teams, it's like impossible to come back. Nobody's getting eliminated. I hate it. My feedback, if you guys actually want feedback for Crucible Labs for these game types, just throw this one out entirely. Go back to the drawing board, because it's not like small tweaks it needs. I don't think it's fun at all. So I don't know. I don't know if we're going to test any other game types, but I don't like this one.
Woo! Get it!
Yeah, I think
Yes,
Crucible
Lord.
Labs, a lot of people just were very hopeful to see, like, oh man, they're finally gonna have a place where we could test and like interface with Bungie. Like, oh great, we could provide feedback like on the fly.
Yeah,
Well-
Panic saying just another Slayer game type. We don't need more of those. Give us an objective game type. Give us a new objective. Maybe a capture the flag. Maybe.
Capture the flag.
I think
Or how about you give us Rift? You already have the game. Just give it to us. Give us the Rift.
Like give us a modified version, a Destiny 2 version, if you will, of Rift.
You wanted to say something, Dudley?
Sorry.
Oh, I was saying like this Crucible Labs thing is just to like appease the masses. It's like, hey, we're adding this. We care about you guys, but it feels like a really cheap addition.
Yeah.
Well, I actually, other than just it being a cheap edition and not really adding anything, I think their communication on it was intentionally vague, and like they should have seen this coming. Like last week when they rolled this out, they're like, hey guys, Crucible Labs, it's going to be a way for you to test out features in the Crucible and give us feedback. And like they used all of this super vague wording, and then like IGN and all these like game journalism companies basically came out and said, hey, Destiny's finally getting the PTR it needs and all this stuff, and they just let it happen. They let all of this praise pour in, didn't correct anybody, and it's not like they didn't know what they were putting out. You can't tell me in a week that they were like, yeah, we really had like higher ambitions for it and it just didn't pan out. They knew exactly what this was going to be from the beginning, and they for some reason tried to obscure it, which is like, come on, just you knew that this was going to be the backlash of this, and it seems like they were just banking on getting the praise for it and people not following up and realizing what it was actually going to be. So
Warmind was, this is I mean, this isn't off topic, but it's just a clarification that Warmind itself wasn't created by Bungie. It was Vicarious Visions, right?
Right.
I mean,
But then the Bungie Live team added this Crucible Labs.
I would say to you that probably some of the foundations of Warmind were done at launch by Bungie, and then
Absolutely. Yeah, they have
Vicarious
to be.
Visions probably spent the last several months changing things and making it
Tweaking.
better. So
yeah. But it's weird. To me, you have to have something really great to justify further dispersing the player population in Crucible.
mhm.
I mean, yeah, and this was not. This was not the way to do it.
Yeah,
I didn't hear you mention Derek Carroll's tweet though.
I did. It was like one of the first things I said. Yeah.
Yeah.
So not going to touch sandbox balance. I mean,
Hmm.
but
But I also don't want a separate client because it's even harder to like find a match when like half the player population is like not even running the same Destiny 2.
I don't think it would be half the population. I think it would be a small group of people who would feel like testing it, but at least we would have somebody with their hands on it who could say like, we should do this or this. And then each week they could kind of mess with it, or let the players mess with it and let the players be like, it'd be cool if we tried this or this, but I don't know. They basically I don't think they can have it on the same client, Huffy, because they just don't have that much individual control over the sandbox and without patching the whole game. So
Yeah.
I mean, one
I can see
option
that
that
as
they
an issue,
could
though.
do is applying a buff. If they could apply individual buffs that was like, hand cannons do 1.3 times damage with this buff. I don't know if that's possible, but that's something to look at.
Yeah. I don't know. It just seems like a PTR would be cool if Destiny was in a different state. I think that a PTR could help it improve, but like at this point in the game, like trying to get them to develop like a functional PTR is not like where I'm throwing my push. Like it would be cool.
I don't know if it's the number one priority, but I would disagree with what you're saying. I think because of the state of the game, it's actually more important right now. Because I think that the Crucible needs so much work that I don't want to see them make a mistake and actually make the sandbox work or worse. And then we have to wait, and we're stuck with a sandbox that everybody hates, like in Destiny 1 when, they made the special ammo changes. Can you imagine if we had a PTR and people tested those special ammo changes, they would have been like, this is crap.
Well, yeah, here's the reason that it really doesn't do anything. All the PTR does is give Bungie more feedback. Unfortunately, we're not in a state where we can trust Bungie with feedback.
Mm-hmm.
We just have to like hope and pray that animal takes the direction it wanted to. 2 weeks ago, we were talking about escalation protocol and the difficulties with it. This week, they like tanked escalation protocol based on
We're gonna talk
feedback.
about that.
Yeah, we'll definitely.
I have some words for Bungie.
Yeah.
So it's like, what happens if they open a PTR and now they have all this feedback? It's the same shit that they don't know what to do with. Like it's about direction, not like the feedback they're getting.
Mm.
If we all said like, oh, I don't know, I mean, can you imagine like what would have happened if this patch would have been PTR'd and like 10 people would have said, oh, now there's too much power ammo, and like then we're back in Destiny 1 with crates that spawn like, and I don't know.
So
it just doesn't seem like they would be able to use that data effectively. It just seems like they need like a more focused design team, not us.
I don't know.
Optimus
I think every AAA game uses this system where they take the feedback of people from a PTR, and it seems to work pretty well. Like, I don't think it's a revolutionary concept, you know.
I mean, if you've kept track of Mercy at all, PTRs aren't necessarily like one of the most robust PTRs in all of gaming. Like, can't fix their healers. I mean, so it's not like an end-all solution.
Going off what Huffy said initially, I did think of that, like them making a PTR, it spread the PC player base. Because when you think of PTR, it's going to be like something that's going to be on PC. It's going to spread it even more thin. So I was thinking maybe they can't do that. That's like one of the reasons. But I think the alternative, yeah, there's that too. But I think the alternative is, like they had this summit, they should have that like more frequently. And maybe, if they do like some sort of PTR thing, but they only release it to like a small group of people.
Yeah, that could be cool.
So the optimist perspective on this, could say that they were actually forward thinking with the Crucible Labs in the sense that if in September they've completely fixed their Crucible like whole situation, like all the Crucible TTK and all that stuff is all really for the most part changed. They won't really need a PTR for you to play in because they will have fixed their problems, like the core of the problem. And so once they fix the core of the problem, like having us have a PTR is going to be less important than having us play new game modes.
I wholeheartedly disagree. I don't think that the sandbox of the Crucible is ever going to be in a perfect spot, like a utopian spot, like you're kind of describing.
I don't ever think it's going to be in a perfect spot either. I just
my point is there's so many moving pieces, and every time they introduce a new batch of weapons, it's going to cause imbalances, and I think a PTR would be helpful in getting ahead of the curve rather than saying, oh, we have this huge problem. We either have to like hot fix the game and like nerf this thing into the ground, or we have to like wait for the next sandbox update, which could be God knows how long. So that's why I think a PTR could prevent problems rather than letting them get out of control like that, A
really good framework could also help that. Like they need to be able to hot fix weapon damage. They need to be able to hot weapon, everything about like the Crucible, they need to be able to hot fix and not so much.
They can't though, because every time they try and fix something, they break something else. So like doing anything quick is a bad idea like that. That's why I think preventing problems is the way to go going forward. And I don't think a PTR is something they can put off forever. Even if the sandbox is in a pretty good spot in September, going forward, I think it's going to be a necessary thing, no matter what.
I think what it is, it's like, games like Overwatch, so they have like changes they make, and they put it on the PTR before it goes live. So like when Bungie like makes some changes to the game, it immediately goes live. So you're like, oh, this is the way the game is now. It feels like darts just being thrown at like a
Prometheus lens. That would have got caught in a PTR, no doubt about it, Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So like you wouldn't be dealing with stuff like that, and then you wouldn't have a weekend of trials that's absolute cancer. Even though I believe a lot of people had fun with that, I don't know how, but I've,
the reason why is because less qualified teams were actually able to be competitive with it, and be able to get the objective completed for themselves.
Skill gap.
Yep. Yeah, the skill gap was completely removed from the game.
Sounds fun.
Funky Pigeon 29870 went flawless like 17 times and destroyed me, dude. Yeah. Unformed Lemon 2789 just had his way.
Yeah, with the Prometheus lens.
Did you have the Prometheus lens? I bet on Friday you did.
Dude, I did 1 day of carries, like probably about 4 hours, and then I streamed Happy Dungeons all weekend. Do you know Happy Dungeons?
No, the only Trials week that I've skipped was that week.
Yeah.
That's the only one I've missed since launch.
So now before we let Exo go on a rant, we'll go to something positive here to try and break it up. There is a Year 2 reveal event next week, June 5th.
Which is presumably when the NDA ends for...
Or at least part of it, hopefully.
Yeah.
Yeah, because like June 11th is the
E3?
Sony's press conference.
Oh, okay.
Or I believe for E3.
Okay.
And they're probably going to be on the stage E3, but it's probably going to be a shortened kind of like maybe the single player, maybe they're going to show off multiplayer. because that way they're able to show off both multiplayer and single player within a week's time frame.
Yeah.
Have they like alluded to like any like small thing that might be added? Is it like gonna be like the year 2 DLC is gonna be the big?
Yeah,
reveal?
I
Is
think
that-
they're
is
going to
that what this
reveal the
is?
DLC. I think it's going to be probably a trailer, some gameplay, a release
is-
date, hopefully.
This is gonna be unlike Christmas Size and Warmind, where it's gonna be like a huge one, right?
It's going to be
Yeah,
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 bigger.
it'll be a big
Okay.
big
Like taking king size.
Yeah, he didn't play
I've never
Destiny
played
1.
Destiny 1, so yeah. So,
okay.
So
I
it-
probably should have mentioned that at the beginning.
It's
Oh yeah. Sorry, it's like a game changing. Like when the year 2
Mm.
released in Destiny 1, it literally changed the systems in the game, like
Mhm.
how you level
Mm.
up and how you acquire things, where you went for
Wow.
loot.
They did actually say, what they said that we'll respond to a bunch of community feedback and unveil some things you haven't even been looking forward to yet.
yeah.
So they have said that. A lot of people are alluding to the game mode that they showed off at the community event. They'll be showing this off in the live stream.
They're going to be
You didn't
updating.
even know you wanted it, but here.
you wanted
They're also going to be updating the roadmap. So like the roadmap says for September, most of it is
Well,
like yet to be revealed.
It's because there's things on the roadmap that they can't add because they'll be spoilers.
Right.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Usually, I try to be the optimist.
Okay.
I actually want to be the pessimist in this situation. I'm sad that we're getting a reveal this early in the game, because I like as soon as we get a
Marketing.
reveal, like what they show us is like set,
Mhm.
and like I'd rather keep the fluidity. Of,
Well,
like,
have you
what
played
could
Destiny
change.
before? What they show us is not set.
Right.
Well,
That's true.
Yeah, but I don't want them to commit to freaking anything. Like I want them
Like
to
they like you can level up to 35.
It's too Huffy. It's too late in the development process to make changes.
Well, that and the expectation at E3 will be they will have showed it off at E3. So
Yeah.
it's either this is the time to show off games you're going to sell in the third and fourth quarter.
Yeah, I think they have to, because the plan is like get people back to playing this game, and this is their opportunity. Like if they don't hit this time, it's just going to be still the game that everybody
To be
rags
fair,
on.
the reveal stream isn't so much the opportunity, but E3 is, because they'll if they're not on Sony's stage or someone's stage at E3, they will have missed a huge opportunity. And Activision stage is
They'll
not where you
be
wanna
there,
be.
but like if you remember for like the past couple of years now, the way that they've been doing their own reveals, and the platform has been better than E3. Like they did their own reveal for Destiny 2, and then at E3 they didn't really have anything new to show. They showed the same thing just about. So I think it'll be similar to that.
At E3 though, you're gonna get a lot more questions and answers from like IGN and things like that. Hopefully,
Mhm.
you'll get some hard hitting questions to be like, so Destiny 2 sucks. Talk about that.
Yeah.
But I think if we get the player base increases because of this, it'll be great. Like the small spurt of like people coming back from Warmind, like you can feel it when you're playing PvP.
Yeah.
Is that everyone is bad, but that's besides the point.
Well, I'm hopeful for that, and
The player base is definitely.
if the player base
looking
does
forward to it.
increase, Blizzard,
Mhm.
increase your friends list size, because 200's not cutting the mustard. Hate to tell you.
Oh, you do. Daily
200 is plenty.
It's not though.
If you're actually talking to 200 people, then like
Well, it's not when you have to add people to your friends list from LFGs to be able to play with them.
The average person
That's bad.
has something like 164 contacts in their phone,
Mm-hmm.
and has and is inside of. I'm not making this up. And is inside of. I think the average is like 600 social circles.
Not just that, but also it's a shared friends list with all
He's
of
looking
the.
at his friends. He's
But-
looking at his
So
contacts.
listen,
No.
listen.
Yes,
It's a shared friends list with all the games. So if you play
Mhm.
Yeah,
Overwatch
that's the
or
problem.
World of
that's true,
Warcraft,
that's bad.
you have to share that friends list. I mean, it's just
I
ridiculous.
definitely
I
run into
have
that problem.
24 contacts.
Nice.
I have 24 names. That's it.
Nice.
I memorize everybody else via number. That's it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, that is that a new phone?
Well, you are not the average person,
Yeah.
Puffy.
Yeah, you
I'm
are
average as
you're
fuck.
on the
What are you trying to say, Dudley?
You're on the bottom end of.
I'm on the other end of the spectrum because I've literally imported my contacts from every phone I've ever had, so I probably have
What?
like thousands of like outdated
my
numbers. So
Jesus.
I'm on the.
Sorry, it's
complete opposite of
it's
that.
152. I'm sorry, I got the number wrong.
We're gonna need to see some sources now.
Yeah.
It's a
Keep
Pew
quiet.
Research. Pew Research
pulling
said
these
that the
numbers.
average cell
I'm
phone.
sorry. but-
Hang on. I'll tell you what it is. It's in 2011. Pew Research Internet Project did a survey, and they said that the average cell phone has 664 social ties. But a survey done in the same year in Great Britain found that the average person had 152 mobile phone contacts.
Wow.
So I do want to say, with what we're hoping to see with this year 2 reveal event, the most important thing to me personally is a release date, because I actually need to request off from work to make sure that I can play like at least the first couple days, if not like a week for release.
The first week is so essential
Right.
to making sure you're in a good spot. Now in September, when it does launch, the raid will probably be put back at least a week, if not 2 weeks, because the Leviathan didn't, that didn't come out on Friday. That came out on a
Ooh.
Tuesday.
And this is gonna be a new raid, not just like a
whole new
layers,
raid.
This
yeah.
is going to be a new
That's
raid
exciting.
with layers.
And probably
So-
more grinding than
That's
Warmind.
that's exciting. That's exciting.
Mm-hmm.
Hey,
Hey.
So it's like the level 1 to 20 plus the 305 loot grind is what it would be.
Because I'm tired of Gauntlet.
So because this happens usually with games in their second year. It happened with Destiny 1, and I think we can probably expect to see this. I want to know your guys' opinion. The systems to catch new players up, like what are you okay with? What do you think is too much? Like in Destiny 1, they had the spark of light, so like new players getting into the game could instantly level up to, the first one I think was 25, and then it was 40, and then you could get like whole subclasses unlocked for $25. Where do you think the line is of like, you're not just catching them up anymore, you're making this like a pay to win kind of thing?
yeah, if you offer like max level pre-expansion, right, to where they're like basically like starting at level 1 of the new expansion, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like I'm totally fine with that. I enjoyed that in Destiny 1. Like shit went down. I had to make new ship, and it was nice to not have to play through the terrible story again. Like I don't really want to fight Dominus Gaul every time I don't know, I make a character on a new platform, especially now that like you can play on PC and like most people, like a lot of people who are playing Destiny 2 have like 2 platforms at this point, that they play on, and I think that
So
it's
you're
nice.
saying it's the max is level 35 right now, right?
Max
Yeah.
is 30.
Okay, yeah, 30. So you think then that having them level up to 30 instantly is probably the sweet spot?
Oh yeah, 30 instantly, give them the gear that they need to start the story.
Yeah.
Go for it.
Yeah. Okay.
Blues
I'm okay with
because
that.
stats really don't matter
Yeah.
like right now. I mean,
100%. Give them some blues. I'm into it. I don't care. I'll use it. I'll buy some. I still don't have a second or third character on PC. I would like to not play the story
Yeah,
again.
I was okay with that. I was okay with like the. What I really hated was people paying $25 to unlock subclasses, because like I put a lot of time into unlocking all 9 of those subclasses, and I felt like you should play the subclass to master it, and as you're leveling it up, that's the idea behind it. I think
Do
if
you
you're
really
just
Well, we
master
don't
the
have that problem
story, though?
anymore.
not anymore, it doesn't exist
Because there
because
aren't
trees, yeah.
Yeah, man, the trees.
But we don't know if that's changing in September, to be fair. We don't know if they're doing anything with that system.
Yeah. that's
Recked.
true.
Look me in the pixels. look me right here.
Hey, everybody's been saying September is supposed to be game changing. It's supposed to, fix
I don't
everything.
think it's going to change to where we have to grind things out to earn them like that,
So-
though.
That was that in Destiny 1? It's like MMOs, a new
Yeah.
patch, and then they have like little boosters that you could buy. Is that a thing?
Well, in
in Destiny
Blizzard MMOs, it is, yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
Like
In Destiny
World of Warcraft
1
has a
Couldn't buy a
one
boost.
time use character boost.
Yeah.
For one
Yep, it was a
character.
one-time use consumable.
Yep.
And you
to
paid
get you caught up.
$60 for it if you want an extra one.
Yikes.
Mm-hmm.
But so it doesn't really get you a competitive advantage. It just, if you haven't played the game and you're new to the game or you're returning, then it'll get you caught up with everybody else at the starting point is the idea, which is
Yep.
good
Yeah.
because you want more people playing. But
Well, like even veteran players do it though, which is why it's $60, and they know it's $60, but they're like, yeah, but I mean, I don't want to level to 110. That's awful. So
I feel like Destiny levels are pretty,
Easy.
disposable.
easy.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're easy to get, and
I'd actually like to
just be
see
fine,
this 1 to 30 system change because like it's completely pointless the way that it exists right now. It's basically just like this weird sort of gear gating thing during the campaign. But as soon as you're done the campaign, like it doesn't make any difference. I don't know why my thumbnail has to even display that level. Like I don't need to see that somebody's level 30. It doesn't provide any useful information to me.
yeah. In Crucible,
well, this is their
it
whole
says
thing
it-
about emblems too. If you remember back when they were talking about emblems, they were saying things like, we want to develop contextual information based on what emblem you have currently. But what they actually did was they got rid of like the auras and stuff, and because when they attached those to emblems, they made the mistake of saying, you had the ability to have an aura on, and now you don't. Now your emblem is what gives you your aura.
I think it was a memory issue. I don't think that they had enough space in the UI to keep that there because of adding the modifiers to this.
Yeah, but
Right.
September is a time to change that. Like
Yeah.
we can, like they can make big changes like that in September. I realize that like now, like where we are, and that's kind of like the whole deal about, I've tempered my thing about expectation, like not expectation about escalation protocol, but that's kind of like how I feel about escalation protocol, because after reading what they said in
Why don't you just get into escalation
Yeah,
protocol?
go on then.
So, escalation protocol was changed, and the problem so the old values of what wave 1 through 3 have never changed. Waves 4 through 5 were 385, are now 380. Waves 6 and 7 were 400 and are now 385. So 6 and 7 are the big changes to where they were 400, which means that you have to have a minimum light level of 3. Was it 60? I had the numbers on this. 310. Yeah, a minimum of 310 to be able to do damage. So if you're below 310, you can do that. Now it's like 290, 295.
I thought you had to be
You'll be able to do
360.
damage like straight out the gate.
Right.
Like as a brand new level 30, you'll be able to
I thought before you had to be 360 to do damage to the final boss, right?
it's 75 light levels and you're not able to do any damage
So,
to anything.
Essentially,
That's-
they just lowered the level of the enemies.
Yeah,
They did it because
for wave
they
6 and
wanted,
7.
they wanted
yeah.
people to be able to
3-man.
to 3-man it, but there's an actual issue with that because
No one is doing that.
no one's doing that. Number one, nobody asked for that.
Yeah.
We didn't ask for it to be easier. We asked for it to be like the 6-man, but then they said, oh, like who was it that said
It
Recked,
seems like
you
that's
probably
not
know better.
possible. Yeah.
Well, they said that it was impossible on
Right.
Reddit. He was like, we're not gonna do that.
Yeah.
But we can look at like making it easier, and it's like we don't want it easier.
Yeah.
We don't want it easier. We want it more accessible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It actually is a joke now, and
It is.
It's not rewarding. You have to go through 4 waves of mindless, utterly awful stuff. Like once you kill 7, you go back. Like now, like we started getting to a rhythm where it was like 6, 7, 6, 7, back down to 5, 6, 7, and you can do that over and over again till you're blue in the face. But then you're still only doing 3 waves. So like if they had it in like less waves, and like overall the system just needs to be refined a whole lot more. They're like it's too much work for a 5% chance.
I don't know if you know this, Exo, but you can kill the boss at the last second and just keep repeating round 7 over and over again.
That's what we're failing round 7,
Yeah.
and then you go back to 6, and then you
Yep.
fail round 7. But you can only do that twice in a row before the game puts you back to 1. So you have to go back down to 5, and then go up to 6 and 7 again. But
Yeah,
it's just a bad. It's like it's the worst change they could have possibly made to this system. Like 400 felt like there was, at least in 6 and 7, it felt like there was a challenge. It felt like there was something that you actually felt challenged by it. Yeah, sure, with 9 people, but like they still did it with 3 people. So like why my actual issue with the whole thing is, this is Bungie, like you said, not correcting the media, right? Like what did we read about Warmind when it launched? We read about Warmind when it launched, and they said, oh, the systems are it's a much harder game. The escalation protocol is the hardest thing you'll ever do in the game, and it's like this is the difficulty you've been looking for.
Yeah.
And here we have it. We get it, and we love it. But then the casual community, I mean, not really even the casual community, but just like an outcry, an outpour of people say, you need to change, you need to change it, you need to change it, and then they do a knee-jerk reaction, just like typical Bungie always has done in the past, and then we're left with this modified version that isn't any fun.
I mean, even we were complaining about it last week.
I think I heard Recked.
Oh, I understand people, yeah, but like if Recked would do it with me, he'd realize that it was challenging, and then it was also rewarding. It's like that, like that's a pretty tough boss to kill. Like especially last week, he was a pretty tough boss.
I think I've heard Rex say this. I listened to the podcast before, but rather than addressing the real problem, which is you can't like matchmake with like a bunch of people, you gotta like kind of like circumvent the the matchmaking or whatever. Like they're outsmarting the problem. I think I heard you say that.
Yep. And
instead of like,
I totally agree with you, Exo, about pretty much everything you're saying, because here's the core problem of addressing it this way. Before they made this change, I actually cared about leveling up. I wanted to get to max level so that I could get together with 7 to 9 people and grind this to get the weapons that I wanted, which meant I had to do raids and stuff like that, which was cool. There was something to aspire to max level for. Now, I'm 375, I can do this easily. It's really not a hard thing at all.
Yeah.
There's no point to max level. They said over and over and over again, this is the end game activity you're looking for once you hit max light. And now it is not. I got into an argument on Twitter with Say No to Rage about this, because he said Escalation Protocol getting a slight power nerf proves Bungie is listening. Keep providing feedback on the road to September. So
Bungie's listening to who?
Yeah.
Who are they listening to? This is the issue.
So
they are listening, but who are they listening to?
I said to him, that the power nerf was not the right move. I don't really care about leveling up anymore. And he said, try doing it with 3 people at below 385 and tell me that the level doesn't matter. I'm like, yeah, that's great, but no one's doing it with 3 people. He said, well, you can't complain that you're cheesing it and it's too easy. The thing is, if you want it to be a difficult 3-man activity, you need to limit it to 3 people, because otherwise people will always take the path of least resistance.
It's not just the path of least resistance. For me, it wasn't the path of least resistance. It was the path of more people want chances to get the weapon.
Right.
So
It's
like
also more fun.
Right.
Because it was just like a large activity where like 9 people could get in a room. We can easily get it on Europe. We can easily, we get on European realm and we build the lobby, and then I just put out a thing and I say, hey guys, I'm looking for people who want to do escalation protocol, and people are just like, they flock in. They're like, oh, I need that weapon, especially this week now that you have a chance to get all 3 weapons.
Yeah.
And next week you have a chance to get all 3 weapons. So people are going to still do it, but it's not as satisfying as it was when it was a 400 activity. Spire of Stars is a 400, and if that's the case with this escalation protocol being the hardest thing that they do, what is the next raid layer going to be, or the next raid going to be? Like, where are they going to take this next raid? Like, we know it's not the next raid layer, but in September we're getting a whole new raid. So is it ever going to be like the what about the prestige modes that come out in July? Are those going to be 400 light? Who knows?
Well, with those, we don't have the same problem, right? The number of intended players that they're designing for is the only amount that you can bring in. So they don't have this matchmaking issue with those activities.
It's another case of them catering to the casual players. And it, as a hardcore player, you're coming in, and it felt like the most rewarding thing, because you have like 9 people coming together trying to get the escalation protocol done. Like the first time I did it, I was like amazed of how like I was able to do it because I was, low light, and but like just everyone coming together and working together, be able to get done felt so rewarding.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's them making it easier is just.
Ross pointing out the fact that the escalation protocol 3 and 5 chests are insulting for the time that you spend doing it. This is my issue with the escalation protocol, like as a whole. The whole seven waves of it just need to be condensed into like 3 or maybe 4 waves, and then just like being like getting a reward for each wave that you do might be a better might be a better path going forward. But like all of the media and everything like that, like you said, with them not correcting them about Crucible Labs, is the same Bungie that we're talking about that responded to a knee-jerk reaction that was like, we're nerfing it. That's what we're doing.
Yeah, and like last week they said, like, give it time, let yourself hit max level before we do anything crazy. And I actually liked that approach. Now 1 week later, they're like, hey, by the way, in 2 hours we're gonna change this. Like,
right?
What?
Well, and they said what they said about the reasons for the changes. They said that we've been listening to all your feedback, and this is the thing that we can do by reducing power levels in later waves. Right. We're intending to make escalation protocol more approachable for people who try the activity at 385 as a fire team with with potential help from others in the world. You can still do it with 9 people. What do they
Which
say?
People are going to, because it's easier that way. Yeah. So if you do it with more people, then it needs to be like the rewards need to scale or something. There's no reason to do it with 3 people. There's no challenge to it. The design has been completely destroyed, in my opinion.
But what Hex just said, it's just another Court of Oryx. Hard at first, easy at max light. I never played Court of Oryx, but I agree with this next part that he says, once everyone gets the weapons and armor, there's not going to be any incentive to do it.
Well, that's going to be the case no matter what. Once you run out of content, you run out of content.
Well, that's the case with it anyway. So like having it be as long as it is not really beneficial to the person who wants to grind that out there. It's not rewarding in the sense that you spend, oh God, I don't know, 15, 20 minutes in one 1 through 7. If you don't cheese the boss, or I'm not going to say cheese the boss, but if you don't lose the 7th round and go back to 6 and then reset it and kill the boss, because you're basically giving up loot by doing that. You're giving up your chest, your seventh.
Yeah, it was the same thing with Omnighoul, though, right? Like when people were farming for the Grasp of Malak back in the day, you killed Omnighoul in the room before the boss room, so that you could keep killing him over and over again. And people actually liked that grind, So like, I don't really care about like if you kill the boss at the end at the last second and have to do it that way. I'm fine with farming it that way.
1 through 7, 6, 7. Back down to 5, 6, 7, 6, 7, back down to 5, 6, 7 is actually a much better version of the escalation protocol. When you go through 1 to 7, you say to yourself, after round 4, I'll never have to do another round 4 again until I get all the weapons. Yeah, that's much better to do that. Yeah. So like, I think that maybe 3 or 4.
It takes the busy work out of it, because before that it's just trash mobs that are.
Yeah, that's all it is up until wave 6.
Yeah. And if you're not getting the weapon at the end, you're pretty much going to level 7, completing and getting like some shaders.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like it's insulting to say, hey, you know what? You're gonna get two blues for doing this really difficult activity, or some shaders that I have over 200 of.
I would say also, I'm a little bit concerned. Like, they obviously thought about this ahead of time, because they said they implemented this system in the game. That's why they didn't have to patch it. Like, they were able to just flip a switch and like make the enemies lower, which is like a new thing. They've never done that before. So basically, since the game launched, they were like, we're ready to make this easier. Like they were like on it. Ready to just, once people complain, just press the button, make it easier.
On day 1, they were looking for solutions for people to be able to 3-man it, but people aren't going to 3-man it regardless. But Hex says, what if they had? Would it be nice if they had like on the fly scaling, so that if they had 6 or 9 players in the actual event, that it would make it more difficult to compensate for that. And I think I'm sitting there.
The only problem is you have blueberries walk up at a super low level and they make it more challenging for you. Now you have to leave because they showed up. Like
the
that
way
would
we
be
were
annoying.
doing it last night, we actually had to help a person go through level 7 before he would leave. So he left. We closed the lobby, and we got because you get 5 people in the lobby, and then no one else can join it. So then we could say we could get our 9th person in, and that's what we had to do. We had to go through all the way through level 7 for him to leave last night.
I like having it fixed because I think it's just that sense of power. Like if you're a low light level and you're like a blue, or you're walking through, and these guys are just like killing everything. In the escalation protocol, you're walking up and your guys not doing anything. I like the feeling of that.
It was great.
It's like a MMO thing, like being
my thing is those
power.
wizards on wave 7. So that's always I talked about it last week too. There's a pattern. So you do the shriekers, then you do the wizards, then you do whatever. Like last week it was the knight, but this week it's of course it's nothing, and then you just kill all the other ads, and then you start working on the boss. Like that's the kind of pattern of level 7. When you got those shriekers, number one, those shriekers killed at least 2 or 3 people while you were killing them, and then right behind you were the wizards that were killing you again. Like they were killing you. Now I can sit there and be like, oh, the shriekers die almost instantly. The wizards are like a joke now, and we have like, if we wanted to kill that boss, we could kill it in probably 30 seconds.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, boops and nova bombs and tethers and stuff.
The nova bombs are ridiculous.
I love boops. I love
more dots, more
now.
dots.
Boops, lots of boops. Hey guys, we have 2 boops.
Oh, we have 2 boop cannons. They don't even call it tractor cannon anymore. They just call it a boop cannon.
I think the core issue is make the patrol party sizes bigger.
Oh yeah, if you just made it 6 and then put everything back up to 400, that'd be great.
That would have been the ideal solution. Obviously, they're
Ivy said last night we were talking about this, and Ivy he had mentioned that he actually have friends who don't play with him anymore because of Bungie's restrictive system, that they would always have to, whatever they were doing, they would always have to either add someone or take someone away based on the activities that they wanted to do. So if they wanted to go into a raid, they could go in with 6 people, but if they had to do if they had to go into a fire team, well, yeah, I'm sorry, 3 people have got to go. If we want to go do a nightfall or we want to go do PvP, we can, like, even in Destiny 2 it's the same. Like PvP is 4, like this is 3, this is like, and it's set. It's not like scaling to the size of fire team that you have.
Yeah.
Yeah, 6v6 PvP will be nice to alleviate.
Dynamic scaling is the answer, Recked. Hex says if you want it hard, dynamic scaling should be the answer. Make it hard but doable for 3 people, then raise it for more people.
Then you can't have it be in a public event. It has to be instanced. Because I don't want to be in the middle of an escalation protocol with 3 people where I plan doing it with 3 people, and then some like Joe Schmo walks up at level 290 and is like, I want to help with this, and makes it harder for all of us,
Well, the way that they could do that, is they could raise it to the power level, because Blizzard actually answered this in World of Warcraft. The way that they handle it is that if I'm 110 and you're level 100, and you start attacking that boss and I'm helping you, that thing is going to be 110 for me, but the percentage of damage that I'm doing is the same for 110. And it's the same for you. So you're attacking a 100 on your screen, and I'm attacking 110. It's the same mob.
So, but then the power level, we're back to power level. Doesn't matter.
Yeah, I feel like it gets watered down. Scaling waters it down. When you the first time you did like 7 or like what's it called, level 7, you beat level 7 escalation protocol. It's like a feat. I did it.
Yeah, and it's a consistent experience.
Scaling, you just show up and you'd be like, oh, it's scaled to me. This is easy.
Yeah. It's a consistent experience. If you see somebody completed it, you say, I know what they did.
Scaling though. Like having the floor be 385 for 3 people, and then it's scaling up to 400 if you have more than 3 people.
Yeah, that would be good. That would actually
be fine.
Yeah.
I just don't see then why, like, what's the point of doing it with more people? Like, it kind of like defeats the purpose of like bringing more people.
Right, but so basically what we're saying is you can't have your cake and eat it too. If you're gonna make the difficulty be for 3 people, then it either needs to be limited to 3 people, or it needs to scale up in difficulty when more people are involved. Or the rewards have to scale, so you get less reward when there's more people. It just doesn't make sense.
Maybe scale up, but never scale down.
Well, back in, I keep bringing this back to World of Warcraft, but this is like, they have the answers. Like they give a minimum amount of loot based on how many players you have in the raid. So if you do a raid and you kill a boss, you get a minimum number of pieces of loot. If you increase the number of players, you
Oh,
increase
yeah,
the
yeah.
number of loot from the boss.
Yeah, but you're talking about shared loot pools where everybody has to share the same.
No, because they use like mostly they use a personal loot, but like
Oh, really?
like everyone has a chance to get something, and like at least 2 people are guaranteed to get.
Is that
one
something that changed in World of Warcraft at some
this
point?
last expansion? Yeah.
Oh, okay. Because it used to be like it dropped, and then it was like everybody has to, roll
Figure it out. Yeah.
over
Now
who
it's
gets
personal. It either drops for you or it doesn't. In fact, in this next
Interesting.
expansion, they're taking the personal loot system, and that's the only loot system that's going to be. You can't do like the old loot system of the past.
Oh, you won't be able to roll on shit?
it. Yeah, it's
Nope.
Wait, your guild leader won't be able to steal the pair of boots
Nope.
that you all worked so hard
Yeah.
for? Wait,
No,
you're
still
telling me
you
that
can trade
our
it.
rogue can't run off with the Warglaives of Aznath and block us all on his
Yeah.
friends list?
yeah.
Nope.
Well, listen, I'm never going back to WoW.
Yeah, and then
think,
transfer
what's it called?
servers. Yeah, change the name.
Yeah.
Division. If anyone's ever played Division,
Yeah.
there's not really trading that game. But
Right.
when you complete an activity, you have like a time limit where you can trade it between people who were in your party when you did that.
Yeah.
That might be kind of cool. you
Yeah.
know,
It's a 2-hour in World of Warcraft. There's a trading system in World of Warcraft too. If you have something that's of higher level, they do it based on item level. So if something at you have a 960 and something 975 drops, it's not going to let you trade it. It just won't, because it'll assume that it's a higher item level for you. But if you get something that's 960 or below, it'll say you can trade with this player for 2 hours or whatever. Like with any player that was eligible for the loot.
yeah,
So
it's
anybody
pretty
in the
frustrating.
raid, you can be like, here, I don't need this.
Frustrating when the dude gets like the third Ikelos freaking shotgun and you like don't have anything.
Yeah.
She'd be
Yeah,
like,
it is
I already
bad.
have the shotgun, and like here, like you have
Who
it.
wants it? Who wants it?
Roll, guys.
Don't you think with that kind of a
Oh, I
system,
rolled a
though,
20.
with that kind of a system, you have to adjust the drop rates to be proportional, right? Because otherwise, it basically increases your chances of getting something by
Yeah,
however
I
many
think-
players are involved.
I think Blizzard attacked that issue early on, though. They had the proportional drop rate system figured out, and then when they moved to the personal loot system, they just applied the same values to the personal loot system.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I don't have anything else. Do you guys?
Dude,
No, I'm
stacked.
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 Yeah.
I'm stacked.
Next week is going to be exciting for Destiny for sure, though.
Oh yeah.
because but we have a lot to look for. We still have a lot to look forward to, regardless of.
We'll
of
have
the
a
most
lot to get
challenging-
hyped about that they will surely underdeliver on in September.
Damn.
Inflated.
I can't go out on that note. All right, let's talk
I pers-
about really quick. Let's talk about that Hunter Cape from New Monarchy.
All right,
Hey!
so where are you seeing this hunter cape? I'm looking.
It's
at
in
some
the-
of
It's in the
It's in-
swab.
It's in the TWAB, baby. Look at that
Yeah.
shit. You look like a last airbender. You're like on the fucking Fire Fleet ship, and you're like, whatcha? Throwing that shit around. Look at how cool you look. That's
Let me just counter that and let me
I
say
don't
I'm
see
tired of
it.
reskins.
Man.
Yeah.
I don't see it in the swap at all.
I actually don't see it either. What are you talking about?
You
I
just.
don't know if was anyone else like kind of upset that the Iron Banner stuff last week was a IO gear reskin.
Oh, yeah. That was kind of. I mean, luckily, that
Actually-
set had not been reskinned before.
So all
Some-
of the Iron Banner, all of
Not
the
all.
Not all of it. It was just the chest and the legs
The
and the arm.
chest, yeah.
But like
Mhm.
in the
that
past,
were
I'm saying Iron Banner
modified.
gear and Faction Rally gear has always been reskins, unfortunately, of other
Yeah,
gear.
but really
That's a whole
quick,
can of worms. Let's not get into that.
let's not get into that. Look at just go to the New Monarchy tab in the TWAB.
Yeah, I'm looking at it, and then I scroll down a little, or scroll
I
up
see
a
a
little bit,
Titan
and I see
there.
the Gravlance catalyst right
Well, you
above
look
them,
in the
dead orbit.
freaking boxes. Look in the boxes.
well,
you
you
shut
can't
up,
tell
Dudley.
based
I see
on
the
based
box.
on
Shut
that,
up.
though.
The
Wait,
I see
Graviton
the
Lance.
box.
Oh, are
Doesn't
you just
matter.
just talking about the thumbnail? You can see the
He's
thumbnail.
talking about the
Yeah,
box,
yeah.
yeah.
I'm looking at the thumbnails. Look at the Hunter Cape,
But you
man.
can't tell based on that.
No,
You
can't.
can see the head
You
and
can-
you
yeah,
can
you-
see
you
the
can see
back,
it, you
dude.
can
You
see
can
it. But look
piece
at-
that shit
yeah.
together in your head.
Look at Future War Cult. Look at that emblem
What?
and that. Like it could be wrong like that. Like that
Yeah.
doesn't look
How
like
be-
that.
Huffy's gonna be running around with his little new monarchy cape and his sweet business while I'm shooting him.
In the air with a sweet business.
Yes.
In the air with a sweet business. I'm not
He's
getting
not gonna flinch,
flinched.
though.
I'm not getting
He's not gonna
flinched.
flinch.
Oh my god. Yo, Reck needs to pledge future work halt so he can keep up with his knucklehead radar. It's the only
Yeah.
exotic that he'll ever use.
I am looking
Yeah.
forward to that, but
so much that he
it
made
just
his
looks like a recolor.
emotes the knucklehead radar.
Yeah, and then they
I
remove
wanted-
the
I wanted
radar.
A real ornament, like what's it called? What are some ornaments that change like stuff completely? Like the Orpheus rig, it changes how it looks completely.
Oh yeah,
This
that
looks
was
like
cool.
a recolor. I don't like that. Because
Nah,
Knucklehead's
man.
the biggest drawback. It looks ugly.
The warlock one looks completely different.
Future Warlock, the Warlock one looks completely different. The Titan one doesn't really look different on the Future War Call. The Hunter really doesn't look super different, but I'm betting these are ornaments.
They are.
Dude, they changed the color of the ring from red to blue. I don't understand your frustration.
Yeah.
Have you guys noticed a massive change in the color schemes in which the shaders actually do on Warmind gear versus the previous gear?
Some gear, it seems random. Some gear just takes shaders better than other gear, and it's always been that way.
Well, I'll give you an example that like Reese and I have been messing with is like all the gear in with the purple shader, the Indigo Matrix.
Mm-hmm.
Used to give like the second and third like slot used to always be purple, so the majority of the thing was like this massive purple, and now it's the blue color like on everything. It doesn't matter what it is. It could be like all of the numbers, like the paint by numbers system that they use.
Yeah.
You know, all of the numbers have completely shifted, so the main color is now like the two sides, and the bottom one is now like the
Maybe it's because Vicarious Visions made it, and they
That's
reversed
definitely annoying, though.
the thing.
I'm always looking to improve my fashion in the game, and I'm waiting for the day for the all black shader, just all black.
It changes though, because like the shader that you've always loved. Say if you loved an Indigo
That all black
Matrix,
shader's gonna cost $50 at Tess Everest, man.
Oh my god! I'm gonna
Dudley
spend
will
$50.
pay it. Look at him.
$50. They got me.
Look at him.
I'll buy it. I
Repping
can't
Dead
wait
River.
for the faction rally package of emotes that's gonna be $10 a piece.
Yeah.
Mm.
Maybe they'll do it like
I
they
honestly
did.
don't see that as a huge problem. If
No,
people
I don't
like it
either.
very
I
much,
actually like it.
I'm just fighting for the people. I'm standing up
I'm
for
just
the
finding
cause.
people. There are so many other games that cost way more. All those
Microtransactions.
gotcha games.
Yeah.
Okay, so games are actually really cheap now. I mean, it's like in the grand scheme of things.
I'm
And
listening.
like Nintendo 64, before Sony came down and said no, games are $50. That's who changed it. Sony. They said
Okay.
games are $50. Before that, the Nintendo cartridges were based on the whatever they wanted to charge you. So Zelda was like $129.
When accounting for inflation, you mean?
No, that was what it was.
That was the retail back then.
That was the retail back then. Like
that-
Wave
did that
Race
come
was
with the-
$79.99.
So that would be that'd be like
It's like
Season-
$150,
yeah, season
$200
pass.
almost today.
yeah.
There were a couple of very expensive N64 games.
I
but
don't
the
remember
majority
that.
of them
Yeah.
ran from like $25 to $30.
Yeah, they had a range, but like when Sony came by and said every game is $50, like over the course of time though, like now we're moving into this new era of games, which is games as a service, and rather games as a product is like that's the system of the past,
Right.
and this games as a service is what
Yeah.
is what Destiny is and what other games aspire to be. So games as a service, and you really got to look at it like it's like the injection of cash that you're giving it, or money that you're giving it is really just to keep the kind of the cogs moving.
So I would agree with you that the games really haven't gotten more expensive, so they're in essence cheaper because of inflation. But the problem is they're releasing more and more unfinished games now, and then you're paying, like Destiny. I'd say the full Destiny game is probably with both DLCs. You know, in the past, that amount of content
Yeah.
would have been $60. Now it's $100. So you're just paying the cost on the back end instead of on the front end. But games are getting more expensive because they're releasing them unfinished.
Yeah, but I mean, as far as like the cost of what you're paying, I mean, it hasn't really changed over the course of like a grand scheme of things. Hacks, what I'm talking about, what he says is it was the cost of Blu-ray discs with the PlayStation 3. PlayStation 1 is when Sony actually instituted it with $50 as a price point. And then $50 stayed the price point for PlayStation 2. And then when the PlayStation 3 started using Blu-rays, that's when they increased it to 60.
Okay.
And I think that's when Microsoft just went along with it, with the Xbox 360.
Yeah.
But
I mean, long story short, you
new
guys played
content is,
Animal
is
Super
great.
Squad?
I'm gonna play some
Huffy, you haven't even plugged your new album.
Oh, hey, Monday night at like midnight. Coupon.
We got a sneak peek coming through your headphones right now.
I mean, no.
Nope.
No. But yeah, I think we're gonna do an album release stream. So
Yeah.
Monday
excited for
night,
that.
look for Coupon.
Hell yeah. All right, I'm gonna end it there, guys. I'm Recked. You can find all my social media and Twitch stuff in the description below. Dudley, thanks for coming on.
Thank you to Dudley.
Yep.
Yo,
Thank you guys,
Dudley.
you know, for having me. It's a pleasure. You could find me at twitch.tv/Dudley.
Dudley.
He
Play
does
a lot of PvP. So,
Resident Evil speedruns.
No.
Yes.
No.
He's a Destiny streamer. So.
Yeah.
If you like Crucible on PC, check out my stream.
Sick.
Do you play on console at all, or just on PC?
What's a console?
I didn't play D1 because it wasn't on PC. And that's like the only reason.
So that's a no. That's a hard no.
I was wishing it came to PC for the longest time. Destiny 2 came out. Super happy.
Sweet.
Heck yeah.
Anyway.
All right, see you guys next week. Peace.
Yep.
Deuces.